We are kicking off today with WWE, and a cryptic teaser aired during this week's SmackDown from Barcelona, Spain that has fans convinced Rey Fénix is coming. The brief package featured a masked luchador training in the ring surrounded by an orange filter and dramatic lighting added to the atmosphere. No name was revealed and there was similarly no voiceover, but the imagery alone sent fans into a frenzy with speculation and discussion. Given Fénix's recent AEW exit and rumors about signing with WWE, his name came up, and it may just be a matter of time before he joins his brother Penta as a WWE superstar. There was a hand tattoo shown, which looks like ink that Fénix has, and there was an image of the person's back, and it certainly looked like the back of the former AEW star's mask. There was also a claw mark tattoo on the back, ink that Fénix also has, and while many predicted he'd go to Raw to reunite the Lucha Bros, this tease came on SmackDown. Fans will have to wait until Monday to see if there's also a vignette on Raw, and if there isn't, then it appears that Fénix would keep on SmackDown when he arrives in WWE. There has been reports for weeks that Fénix would debut after WWE's European tour wraps on March 31st, and last month, Fénix fueled buzz with a cryptic farewell message to the fans. Fénix thanks fans for their love and support in that message, and PW Insider reports that WWE is already working on merchandise for Fénix as they are gearing up for his arrival in a big way. If this teaser is for Rey Fénix, then WWE clearly wants to build hype for him before pulling the trigger on his debut, just like they did for his brother in late 2024 and early January. There was another cryptic tease during SmackDown, though this one was harder to decipher, as the brief clip featured smoke and the number 4 prominently displayed. No other details were provided, and unlike the Luchador vignette, there wasn't any wrestler or wrestling footage used in this tease, leading to speculation the two were not related. Some believe it could be a reference to a returning faction, a fourth member of an already existing group, or even a countdown to something big that's coming in 4 weeks' time. Some fans speculated on it being a tease for the return of Aleister Black, who parted with AEW this year, and a return to SmackDown would allow him more time with his wife Zelina Vega. With WrestleMania 41 nearing, WWE seems to be laying the groundwork for multiple surprises. Could these teasers be connected, or is WWE throwing out different hints for different reveals? SmackDown saw B-Fab take on Charlotte Flair, and the first ever 2-time Women's Royal Rumble winner looked confident as ever as she faced her far less experienced adversary. B-Fab is in a unique position in WWE as she was called up too soon and still has room to grow in the ring, but her charisma and dedication to improvement are undeniable. With that said, stepping into the ring with someone as polished as Charlotte only highlighted her inexperience, with the stark difference in experience leading to some awkward exchanges. That's not to say the match didn't have its moments, including Charlotte rolling B-Fab around while keeping her locked in a head scissor, and this was arguably the best B-Fab has looked yet. Charlotte secured the win with natural selection followed by the figure 8 and refused to release the hold after the match, prompting Tiffany Stratton to run in and go after Flair. Officials and security tried to break up the brawl, but the two couldn't be contained, and Stratton dragged Flair out of the ring by her legs, prompting Flair to hit an elbow after leaping off the steps. Stratton then executed a massive dive from the top rope to the outside, crashing into Flair and the surrounding officials, but the pair didn't stop there. Flair and Stratton continued fighting seemingly through the commercial break and brawled back onto the stage just as The Miz was attempting to start his segment. Stratton delivered another jaw-dropping moonsault, this time from the top of the Tron, taking out Flair and the officials once again, standing tall over her WrestleMania 41 opponent. This was an intense post-match angle between Stratton and Flair and built nicely on their past interactions, but this segment unfortunately saw a noticeable botch. When Tiffany hit her dive to the outside, Flair was not in the right position and was nowhere close to being hit by the move, and Tiffany instead landed on the officials. Despite this, Flair still felt as if she'd been hit, making for an awkward moment that didn't go unnoticed by fans watching around the world. Flair fell without being hit by Stratton and without anybody pushing her, and did you catch this awkward botch? Let us know down in the comments section. This week's SmackDown kicked off WWE's tour of Europe, but one name fans didn't get to see during the show was Alexa Bliss. While fans in Barcelona would have loved to have seen Bliss in person, that was never going to be the case, as on her Instagram, Bliss shared that she was having a family movie dinner date night. This shows that not only was Bliss not in the city, she wasn't even in the country, and was instead with her family back home in the United States. Bliss last competed at Elimination Chamber, and while fans await to see what kind of role she'll play now that she's back in the ring, an appearance just wasn't meant to be on this week's show. SmackDown saw a major title change as the Street Profits are the brand new WWE Tag Team Champions after ending the reign of DIY. For the first time in years, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford now hold gold in WWE, but why exactly did this title change take place? Well, one reason could be to set up a split in DIY, especially given that it was a last-minute mishap between the now former champions that cost them the gold. Gargano accidentally superkicked Ciampa, which led to the Street Profits taking advantage, and this could be the seed that blossoms into a DIY split. Ciampa and Gargano have feuded in the past, and their matches against one another have delivered in NXT, and the pair could play out their issues on the main roster soon enough. Having this title change could also be the start of a major push for the Street Profits, which comes at an interesting time given how close we are to WrestleMania 41. Having the title change is certainly a strong way for WWE to book the Profits ahead of next month's event, and could easily mean we see Ford and Dawkins on the WrestleMania card. Perhaps the titles could be on the line in a multi-team match or a ladder match as fans saw last year, but whatever the case, the odds of the Profits being on the card just grew greatly. Having the title change also provided a major twist on the road to WrestleMania, which has seen the US title and Women's World title change hands this month alone. This title change with the Profits may have been done to give fans another shocking moment as well as make the road to WrestleMania even more unpredictable. WWE often touts that anything can happen in the promotion, and having surprise title changes certainly added to the excitement for when a fan tunes in to a WWE TV show. Whatever the reason, the gold is now with the Street Profits, and with their new mean streak and the titles, things are certainly looking up for Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. Mickie James has been actively involved in WWE over the past few months, starting with her appearance at Bad Blood last year, and more recently has been a coach for WWE LFG. Now her future with WWE has been clarified as Fightful Select reports that James has WWE-related promotional appearances lined up even after her departure from WWE LFG. Fans will continue to see James in WWE in some capacity, and this clarification comes after it was reported that James had been cut from the description of WWE LFG's second season. The updated coaching lineup now includes The Undertaker, Booker T, Michelle McCool, and Bubba Ray Dudley, with The Undertaker reportedly playing a role in getting his wife McCool a job. Fightful previously reported that The Undertaker was open to continuing the show if Michelle was involved, and that she's been brought in as James's replacement. However, there is no indication that The Undertaker pushed for James's removal, only that he advocated for McCool's inclusion that indirectly led to James being cut. With James still scheduled for promotional appearances, her connection to WWE remains intact, but whether this leads to more on-screen roles or an in-ring return remains to be seen. With James's husband Nick Aldis as GM, perhaps it's time for Mickie to head to SmackDown, and whatever's to come, Mickie James's time with WWE is far from over. Over to TNA Wrestling now, as last night's Sacrifice event saw Masha Slamovich put her Knockouts title on the line against none other than NXT's Cora Jade. Jade competing put to bed rumors and speculation that she would not be cleared after a worrying scare in NXT earlier this month, and instead Jade was the aggressor early on. As the two traded control, the finish saw Slamovich hit her finish and get the clean win, keeping the Knockouts title with TNA, but Cora Jade proved she deserved to be in the title picture. WWE and TNA signed a multi-year partnership, and while Jade may not have won gold this week, it may be a matter of time before a wrestler wins gold from the other company. If you watch NXT, you'll notice that Lucian Price and OTM have been missing from programming, and that's because the 28-year-old is dealing with an injury. PW Insider reports that Price is out of action with a hand injury, and his most recent match on TV came during the January 14th episode of NXT. That match saw Price and Bronco Nima challenge Fraxium for the NXT Tag Team titles, but they were unable to take the gold from the champions. A few days later, on January 18th, Nima and Prince faced Josh Briggs and Yoshika Inamura in a NXT house show, which was their most recent match as a team. Nima has wrestled singles matches at live events ever since, and while details remain scarce about Price's hand injury, we're wishing him a full and speedy recovery. Back to SmackDown, and Jade Cargill appeared for a sit-down interview with Kathy Kelly and made clear that she's out for revenge on Naomi. Reflecting on the attack from last November, Cargill described how everything changed in an instant, saying she was surprised and thrown into a car. Cargill added that she saw Naomi running away from the scene, an especially hard-hitting betrayal for Jade, who said Naomi had been like a big sister to her. Their trio with Bianca Belair had felt unbreakable, but that clearly wasn't the case, and Jade reflected on the damage Naomi did, stating that she didn't just hurt me, she broke my heart. Before she could say more, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez interrupted, and Liv wasted no time reminding Jade that she herself had been a prime suspect in the attack months ago. Jade didn't back down, firing back by claiming Morgan and Rodriguez wouldn't be holding the women's tag team titles if she'd not been attacked in late 2024. A match between Liv and Jade was made for next week, and Morgan, always quick with a comeback, smirked and quipped, "Don't fall on any cars before next week." Next week's SmackDown will mark Jade's first match since November of last year, though she'll have her work cut out against one of WWE's most impressive women in recent years. Will Jade steamroll over Liv Morgan and reassert her dominance, or could Morgan pull off a shocking upset? Drop your thoughts in the comments. SmackDown kicked off with new US champion LA Knight, who brought back his custom LA strap, and he earned a deafening response from the Barcelona crowd. Jimmy Uso came out to confront Knight, and Big Jim made his case for a US title match, but the pair were interrupted by Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline. Solo said he wanted a US title shot for Jacob Fatu, in another sign of Solo doing what he can to cater to Fatu, perhaps in an attempt to keep Fatu from trying to take over as leader of the group. There was an awkward moment during the original broadcast as Solo messed up what he was saying and nearly dropped an F-bomb, and Jimmy Uso couldn't help but laugh at the botch. Given that the show was taped though, when it aired on the USA Network, it had been edited, and this mistake from Sikoa was removed from the show. A 3-on-2 beatdown was cut short by Braun Strowman, and Nick Aldis would make a 6-person tag team match that would see Jimmy, Braun, and LA Knight get the win. Post-match, Solo would spike Strowman from behind, but LA Knight would pull Sikoa from the ring, and the pair fought away, leaving Jacob Fatu to destroy Braun in the ring. Fatu would send Strowman through the barricade in the latest escalation of their feud, and a last monster standing match may be inevitable between the two. Cody Rhodes was the guest on Miz TV, but when The Miz interrupted Cody's entrance, the American Nightmare responded by hitting the A-lister with Crossroads. Rhodes said he didn't want to speak to The Miz or anyone other than John Cena, and told John that if he shows up on Raw, then Cody will be there as well. While fans may have wanted more from Rhodes on SmackDown, this segment did an excellent job hyping up the upcoming Raw and the first face-to-face between the two since Elimination Chamber Toronto. Paul Heyman cut an excellent promo, as one would expect, in which he made clear his disdain for Seth Rollins now that the Visionary has once again run afoul of Roman Reigns. Interestingly, Heyman still referred to CM Punk, another adversary of Reigns, as the best in the world, once again raising questions about where Heyman's loyalties truly lie. Heyman also hyped up the release of the standard edition of WWE 2K25, which was yesterday, highlighting that the cover star is Roman Reigns. Reigns' return to TV was confirmed by Heyman for next week's episode of SmackDown, giving fans an exciting bombshell ahead of the Blue Brand's trip to Italy. World Heavyweight Champion Gunther made a rare SmackDown appearance to take on NXT Tag Team Champion Axiom in what looked like an odd match on paper. However, this match came about as Axiom is from Spain, and he was given the opportunity to compete against one of WWE's very best in his home country. What could have been a quick squash was instead a very entertaining match, with Axiom having a moment where he had the chance to shine against the much bigger star. In the end, though, it was Gunther who got the win, and he put Axiom to sleep after the bell, robbing the crowd of the big emotional victory they wanted to see. There is an argument that Jey Uso could have come out and cost Gunther, giving Axiom a huge win in Spain, but it just wasn't meant to be for the masked NXT superstar. Backstage, Nick Aldis spoke with Shinsuke Nakamura and claimed that Nakamura missing an official last week has cost the Japanese star a rematch for the US title. Instead, Nakamura faced Damian Priest this week, but Drew McIntyre caused the disqualification, and Nakamura and Drew would assault the Archer of Infamy. McIntyre used steel steps, a stomp to the back of the neck of Priest, and one final Claymore for good measure, building the intensity ahead of their likely match at WrestleMania 41. A match was made for next week between Zelina Vega and Piper Niven, and should Vega get the win, it'll no doubt put her in line for a women's US title match with Chelsea Green. Back in the ring, Randy Orton competed in his first singles match since October of last year and got a hard-earned victory over Carmelo Hayes. As we've seen in the past, the European crowd went wild with Orton's theme song, and after Hayes rejected a post-match handshake, Orton dropped him with an RKO. Orton appeared poised for a punt, but Kevin Owens interrupted and pulled Hayes from the ring, and a fight between Owens and Orton would result in Owens running through the crowd. And that was SmackDown, and what did you make of this week's show? Share your thoughts on the show down in the comments section. In AEW, Ricochet has cemented himself as a dastardly heel, and he isn't just talking trash to the wrestlers of Tony Khan's promotion, but recently had some choice words for The Miz. When a fan posted a mock graphic teasing that The Miz was now all elite, Ricochet responded by saying he'd embarrass the WWE Grand Slam champion on the mic. Ricochet proceeded to go on a tear in the replies, and when one fan said their 5-year-old nephew could beat Ricochet on the mic, the AEW star threatened to slap the nephew. The only positive comment Ricochet gave was when a fan said Ricochet couldn't beat Samantha Irvin on the mic, and Ricochet said no one could beat his fiancée on the mic. As for The Miz, there's no sign of him leaving WWE to join AEW, but if it were to happen, Ricochet is plenty confident that the charismatic A-lister would prove to be no match for him on the mic. Last year, Lillian Garcia returned to WWE as the replacement of Samantha Irvin, and after moving to SmackDown in January, her full-time role has now come to an end. On Instagram, Garcia shared that her full-time run as the brand's ring announcer is over, but she will continue to serve as the ring announcer for Saturday night's main event shows. And we're ending with more from SmackDown as the action didn't stop once the camera stopped rolling and the fans in Barcelona were treated to a dark match. After their segment during the show didn't go as expected, Rhodes and The Miz met his opponents after SmackDown, where Cody would get the win. From reports, this was a fun match and included Cody using The Miz's ring jacket like a bullfighting matador in a fun spot for the fans in Barcelona. Rhodes was victorious with another crossroads on The Miz, giving him momentum ahead of that all-important confrontation with John Cena on next week's Raw in Brussels.